That night, Hieronymus stepped out to practice some magic on his own, so I went to Professor Potsdam to ask her to show me how to work the magical mailbox that Hieronymus had placed in the corner of his desk. It was a small box made of polished wood, about the size of a jewelry box. It wasn't especially intricate, but it did have a channel of soft grooves flowing through the top of the box. Those grooves were the key to unlocking it, but I wasn't experienced enough to figure out how to use them on my own. It's locked right now, dear, Potsdam explains as I show her the box. But when you run your fingertips in the groove in the right way, the box will open. Then simply put the contents inside and close the box with intention. Say who you want to send the letter to out loud, if you wish. If you open the box, you'll find it to be quite empty. Instead, it will suddenly appear in your recipient's mailbox. And then the corners of the box glow when something is received back. Correct? Clever girl, Potsdam replies. I see Hieronymus has been training you in our magical customs well. He has, I agree. But I just don't see why we need to fuss with this. I mean, we can just write letters and send them through the post, can't we? We can, Potsdam agrees. But remember, dear, the post is not governed by magical systems. True, anyone who finds our letters may think that we're joking or mad, but it is a risk nonetheless. True magical correspondence should best be communicated through magical means. I understand, I say as she gives the box back to me. But remember, the box is locked, and it will only open if you follow the signature Hieronymus has engraved upon it. Understood, Professor. Thank you, I say as I step out of her office and teleport back to his room. True, only Hieronymus knew how to unlock it, but I had used spirit echoes earlier in the day to conjure up an image of the last time Hieronymus had unlocked the box. It worked for uncovering what runes I should press to escape the dungeons in exams, and it worked to unlock the key to opening the mailbox. After watching the pattern in which he ran his fingers through the grooves, I quickly followed suit, pleasantly surprised that the box clicked open automatically. Smirking to myself, I quickly put the flower and the letter I had written to his parents in the box and then closed the lid. To Daniel Callister's parents, I say firmly with my eyes closed. The box gives a little shake, and I can tell by how much lighter the box feels when I pick it up again that it worked. And I wasn't a moment too soon. Just as I lift the box off the desk, the door opens as Hieronymus walks in. He had been smiling, but his pleasant expression soon slips from his face as he sees me holding it. Tori, that's not a toy. I don't want you playing with that. Have you finished the letter you wish to send to them? I have, I say as I grin up at him. I think it's some of my best work yet. Hieronymus regards me dryly. I'll be the judge of that. Where is it? I look at him, look down at the box, and then look up at him as I wave to the box with one hand. Already sent it. Hieronymus's face falls. Tori? Yes, sir? Please tell me this is another one of your jokes. He looks serious, and I can't help but bite my lip as I grin bashfully. I may have used white magic to watch you open it. And then I may have asked Professor Potsdam how to send it. And then I may have decided to just go ahead and send it. Hieronymus's face flushes with anger. Stupid girl, I told you that I was supposed to proofread your letter to make sure that there was no inappropriate mentions in your correspondence. I pause for a moment. I don't think I did, I reply as I shake my head. All of a sudden, an empty sheet of paper emerges on the desk in front of me. You will write down what you wrote, word for word, what you sent to them, Hieronymus snarls. Or else. I just smile at him and shake my head. Nope. Hieronymus glares at me. Tori, this is not a game. No, I know it's not, I say as I get to my feet and approach him cautiously. But I am your wife. I may be a student, but I'm not a child. I am representing both of us and our marriage, and their child is now our responsibility. There will be times when you won't be able to look after decisions I make like a graded homework assignment, and I need you to trust that I'm acting in the best interests of both of us. If anything I said is deemed out of line or appropriate, I will apologize, and going forward, I will make sure that any future correspondence is approved by you. Is that an acceptable compromise? Hieronymous just looks me up and down as if he's seeing me for the first time before he lets out a sigh and steps forward, putting his hands on my shoulders as he kisses my forehead. Have I mentioned how frustratingly mature you can be at times, Mrs. Grabiner? I can't help but giggle. Maybe once or twice. He walks over to the box and picks it up in one hand before he puts it back down on the table. Well, what's done is done. I suppose the only thing to do now is wait for their response and hope you haven't just damned our reputation with the entire magical community. It's a good thing we have each other then, I say brightly, but Hieronymous just tilts his head back and groans loudly as he heads off to the shower. Fortunately, Hieronymus's fears didn't come to pass. I included as much information about myself to serve as a quick introduction before I started to talk about Daniel's interests and how I was planning on fostering them. I also made sure to mention that Daniel enthused to me their passions about painting and flowers and included one of Daniel's favorite American flowers as a present for his mother to keep as a keepsake, and his father to consider working into his next painting if he could find the time. His mother had written back to me almost immediately, introducing herself as Melodia, and writing that she was so pleased that Hieronymus had decided to invest her son's care in someone who seemed to have a real interest in fostering his education. Hieronymus had read the letter once to himself before he had just sighed, put it down on the bed next to me, and went back to his reading without another word. He could have told me he was proud of me, but he didn't, and I could understand why. I defied his expectations, and it paid off, this time, but that didn't mean every risk I took would ultimately pay off. This one did, though, and that was definitely worth celebrating. Later that night, the box on the table buzzed again, and I quickly jumped to my feet as I rushed over to it. Hieronymus just sighed as I opened the box, pulling out another handwritten letter and a species of flower that I didn't recognize. Ooh, this is pretty, I say to Hieronymus as I hold it out in both of my hands. Do you know anything about flowers? Hieronymus raises an eyebrow as he examines it. Not particularly, although I can tell you that this species grows in the other world. You can tell by the markings on the stamen. Oh, I say, almost a bit apathetically. Look, it's blue and purple, just like my hair. I told her what color my hair was, and she told me she was going to try to find a flower that matched it. I think it blends perfectly. What do you think? I tuck the flower behind my ear, but Hieronymus just rolls his eyes. Beautiful. And why, exactly, are you Mr. Grumpy Pants? I ask him as I plop back down on the bed. You were worried about me making a fool out of myself, but instead I've gained a new friend. What's so wrong with that? You do realize that your beloved new pen pal is queen of an entire territory? Hieronymus asks as he raises an eyebrow. Okay. I can't help but shrug my shoulders. So maybe she is, but can you imagine how lonely and isolating it must be? She has servants to talk to, I'm sure, and she seems close with her husband, but at the same time, what friends does she have? What friends can she have? Like, if she was here and she had a passion for flowers, she could join the gardening club, but who can she socialize with over there? Hieronymus seems like he's honestly contemplating this for a moment. You feel sorry for her. I pause, a bit taken aback. I mean, not really. I look down at the letter in my hand. Nothing in these letters makes it seem like she's super lonely, but she seems friendly and I'd like to get to know her better. My face flushes. If that is okay with you, sir. Hieronymus just sighs as he shakes his head. Who you socialize with is no concern of mine, Tori. I cross my arms over my chest and huff, forcing him to continue as a smile floats to the corners of his lips. But, yes, I am glad that you're making new friends, or at least making a positive impression. I've always known your affable nature would benefit you someday. Affable? I ask blankly, fishing for a definition, but Hieronymous just sighs as he turns back to grading homework. Continue with your letter, Hieronymous replies. Far be it from me to dissuade your socializations. Okay, I reply as I turn back to my own response. I thank her for the flower and start to tell her about the gardening club and more about the different clubs at the school that Daniel can be involved in when I see Hieronymous watching me over the top of his book. Is something the matter? I ask him while I continue to write. I thought you were busy. Do you like flowers? Hieronymous asks suddenly. I make it look like I'm still engrossed in writing my reply, but I stop writing, with my pen still hovering over the page. They're okay, I say thoughtfully as I look back up at him. I'm clearly not as passionate about them as she is, but I at least know enough about them to determine which ones I think are pretty. And? Hieronymous asks. Which one is your favorite? Honestly, I ask. The poinsettia. I know it's not my favorite color, but according to legend, if you love the person you gift a poinsettia to, good luck will follow with it. Hieronymous seems to contemplate this for a moment. Duly noted. Why? I tease. Are you going to get me flowers? I'm going to get you a muzzle if you don't learn how to stop talking, Hieronymous says without any venom in his voice as he turns back to his book, but I can't help but grin. He would never admit to it, of course, but I was beginning to suspect that Hieronymous was a bit of a romantic at heart. And it was just another thing to add to the extensive list of things I loved about him.